Bandai just released their video for the next plan of the One Piece card game during this year of 2024, and it was released during the night, so I obviously couldn't make any on the moment reaction to this, but I caught up with all the information on that video just so that I could present them to you in this video right here. Hello everyone and welcome to Anything Geek. My name is Zero, and if you want to be disappointed, that's the right video for you. And the thing is, players have been expecting some things from Bandai, of course, and they made such a big deal of having this next plan planned for revealing us information about what they're coming up with, and it was very lackluster in the end. And it is such a letdown because they acknowledge at the start of the video that the response from the public regarding the One Piece card game has been amazing so far. All the events and all the release have been exceeding their expectation, and yet for that video we have barely no new information, at least in regards to products, because event-wise they are trying their best to make things go smoother, having reprints coming into the game and make better plans for the bigger tournaments so people could attend those. But first let's go with the Q&A section to the producers, which is what they started up with, and we're gonna start with the first 5 questions that they address. How do you go about balancing a card game when releasing new cards? And they do consider a lot of things when doing that. The producer explained a bit their thought process, and one key thing that they do is still making sure that whatever they come up with fits the manga and is being relevant to the source material. Of course, it's a very intricate process because you have to take a ton of stuff into account. And aside from the ban from Newgate, which was really too strong, and Sakazuki, which again was really too strong, they did a pretty good job so far, but they still don't have any plans for rotation or for long-term solution to avoid banning cards. And they didn't express any plans to do it any other way, so I guess for now they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing, which is fine so far, but we're gonna have to see because there's a crazy leader coming in OPO 8, and I think this is gonna be the next ban candidate, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. The next question was, how will the game change in terms of playstyle? And they say that their aim is to make sure to cater to all playstyle possible, such as mid-range, aggro, control and stuff like that, but they didn't really say what they were gonna do to plan for the future. Is there gonna be any new styles that are gonna emerge into the game? But they are aware of the style archetype that we already have, and they are taking this into consideration when they are creating new cards for the game. Next was a question for the producer of the game, and it was, what is your favorite card? And it's Purple Yellow Crocodile. He basically said that since it's a yellow card, he can triggers and restock his life while having a good ramp in purple with a ton of Baroque Work supports, as well as all the cards coming from EBO1 that are soon to be released. Makes that leader have a ton of support right now and being a great leader to play around with. The next question was, can you provide more detail of the planned reprint? And that was a good question, and the very first interesting question that we had so far. Let's not just beat around the bush. And they are aware of all the stocks issues, and they are in discussion for that specific topic. Reprints are coming. They already stated that, and we already know that this is a thing, and we know that PRB01 is going to be a reprint set, so we know that is coming as well. But as for proper reprints of previous sets and making them available store-wide, they have yet to come up with a plan and figure out the details for that. And they also were very surprised that the game actually blew up twice, because the first one was with OPO1. Obviously this was the first set and it was very popular and demands what was crazy high at launch, and still even now, because the set is barely findable on the market. But it also got a second blow up around OPO5 because this was the anniversary set and it was very popular, and so when they thought that they were catching up with the demand, OPO5 hit the store and they were caught completely off guard with the success of OPO5. So they know about all that and they are working on it, which of course we basically already know. So we're learning nothing new from that so far. And the next question was actually very relevant, and that was one of the biggest segments of the video, because the question was, can you tell us about some of the upcoming products? And this is something that I was personally waiting for, to tell you guys, okay, all of this is coming and whatnot. But the short answer, if you want it right now, we only know about one details, about one thing that we already knew about. That's the only stuff that they've added to what's already to all the things that we already know. And of course, I talked about the product roadmap and every product that are coming to the One Piece card game, so make sure to check those videos out. They're gonna be recommended in the cards and they're on the channel, very easy to find. Make sure to check those videos out, because in those videos where I basically theorize what's to come and I got proven right, I talked about a lot more products than that they actually talked in that video. But anyway, they talked about the official limited sleeves that we have for each set, and they kind of presented them in this live. But of course, we already know about this product, and quite frankly, not everybody cares. Just a few people care about those, and that's just about it. So again, that's very unfortunate to make such a big event and hyping it so much, saying, yo, we're gonna tell you what's gonna happen next, and then you're just presenting the sleeves that we know about and that we've known about for like at least 6 months, because you're not giving anything new right now. But anyway, that was the first product that they've presented. And then for some obscure reason, they presented the Japanese first anniversary set, which I don't understand, because on the table where they were, the English anniversary set was literally right next to the Japanese first anniversary set. So why are you not talking about the English anniversary set in your next plan for the English version of the game? I don't understand. But either way, they said that the pre-orders for this product were now being shipped, and also that they are planning the second anniversary set, but detail is to come soon about that. And next, of course, that's the next booster set that we need to have here for the global version. And since this is a video talking about the next plan for the global version, well, they talk about EBO1, despite the fact that everybody know about EBO1. We know all the cards, we know all the meta for this set already. We know about the OPO7 booster set already, the Egghead set, literally. We know about OPO9, the Fourth Emperors, and we know about we've known about OPO9 before OPO8, and right now they're in the drip marketing for OPO8, and we know already 4 of the leaders as well as some cards. So those information, they are not new for one glaring reason, and I'm gonna tell you that at the end of the video. We're gonna talk about this, but they presented EBO1. Basically, their favorite cards from that is Laboon and Brook, because they go in tandem, and that's basically all they did for that, just presenting us some cards from EBO1, and that's it. Following that, they actually talked about something new, and I consider this a follow-up question to the one they were answering right there, which was about the upcoming products for the One Piece card game. But this was actually a separate question. Will there be more Devil Fruit collection? And yes, there is gonna be more Devil Fruit collection. We've known this from the roadmap. Again, I made the video, make sure to go check it out, because there's actually a ton more information and interesting information in that video than in this one. And that is the only new piece of information that they've provided in this video, is that the Devil Fruit Collection number 2 is gonna feature the Mera Mera no Mi, the fruit from Ace and Sabo. That is the only new piece of information. Like, really. I'm not even joking. And the thing is that we knew Devil Fruit Collection 2 was coming in November this year for the English version of the game. So again, that's really not an interesting information from us. I mean, the fact it is the Mera Mera no Mi, yes, sure, but that is the only thing in that video. But hey, let's move on. There was some additional points that they talked about, which are interesting, but it's kind of a nice to have and not specifically something that we as player asked for. And amongst those questions was, will there be more fun store events? And yes, they plan to ramp up all the events at the stores and stuff like that, mostly through sealed battle for casual players. And this is the types of event where you're gonna be able to only play the Rainbow Luffy leader, because this is a sealed format, so you're gonna buy boosters in the stores and make your deck from that. And they actually made a special leaders for that, which was already released in Japan, and we already know about that leader. We already have it in English as well. Why is this just happening now? We are so behind on the Asian version, like really. And this video just proves it times and times with all the points that they've discussed. Those events are gonna take place in July and August 2024, and if you want your local game store to participate in those events so you can have prizes at your store, or they can order the booster boxes in advance to make the player be able to play, your store needs to fill out an application for those events starting from April 2024. So make sure to contact your local game shop to tell them about this information if you want those events happening in your local area. And this next point was actually the biggest of this video aside from the product, and it was, is there a plan to increase the amount of regional tournaments to allow more players to enter and not have to travel as far to compete? So they basically started by saying that they got a lot of feedback from players that were unable to attend bigger tournaments due to lack of spots to enter the tournament. Also, a lot of people were unable to go to those tournaments due to the distance. Sometimes when you go to such big tournaments, it's not in your area, you have to travel very far, and this was the case for a lot of people, and so they are trying to address this. And what they planned is actually to increase the spots for each tournament to allow people to allow more people to participate in those events. But they also plan to introduce store treasure cups in order to bridge the gap between your local community tournaments and the World Championships. That is the biggest tournament that you can attend. So they will begin by only doing this in North America, so that's not for Europe yet. Their plan is to start by selecting few stores in North America where you will have store regionals taking place at those selected stores, and people that do very well at those store regional will get an invitation to go to the World Championship. And of course, the store that want to participate in that program needs to apply to Bandai directly at the start of April. But consider this like a beta, because they don't know if this is gonna work well and they don't know if they are gonna move on with that plan. So this is just, they're just rolling this system out and they still need to figure out some stuff. But as you can see, they are doing a ton of effort to make sure that there are tournaments for every type of players and everywhere possible, so everybody can enjoy the game as best as they can. In regard to those tournaments though, there was some issue back at the World Championship, and so one of the questions was will there be a better system in place for improving tournament player experience? And it kind of ties into everything that I just said, because they are trying their best to improve the experience of every player in regards to participating in the World Championship, as well as more regional tournaments at the store and some casual tournaments, sealed battles, and all that good stuff in your local game shop. And of course, there was the Bandai Card Game Fest and the offline and online regionals, and one of the questions was, how will you tackle seasons 2 of Bandai World Tour? It's missing the 2 right here, but the details have not been finalized yet, but they have a plan that you can see right here, the roadmap, and there will be 2 chances to apply for the World Championship. But in regards to Cardfest, it is also planned to come to Europe, because Cardfest was an American thing, and they do plan right now to make this an event also happening in Europe. So that's very cool for us European folks, but the detail about the organization is still to come. Next, there was a segment about the World Championship and all the players from around the world gathering up to play the One Piece card game. And so they've asked 2 players that participated a few questions, and those players have had a chance to submit one of their own. And one of the questions was, how did they choose the prize cards? And it's very simple, and it is what you would expect. First, they choose a card that is likely meta, because that card will have value on the market to offer as prize. And next is a card that is of a character or something that is currently happening in the manga or the anime, because if you're caught up with the manga and the anime, that is the thing that you want to see coming from the game, because that's already what you're thinking about. So for instance, right now that's the Egghead arc, and we're focused on the story of Kuma and Bonnie, and those are typically the cards that they might choose to get as prize for bigger tournament. And lastly, the last point that they take into consideration when choosing prizes cards for tournament is the character a popular one? That's actually a fairly standard approach. That's actually what I would do as well. And next question, another person actually asked, what would it take to get that sort of event, I mean the World Championship, to other regions of the world, like in every regions of the world? And that's actually what kind of we're being talking about in the previous segment. The European Card Fest is already planned, better access to World is also planned, better store tournaments and offline and seal battles tournament at the store is already planned, but they also specifically did not say what would it take to get this type of event in every region. So that's kind of not answering the question, but I mean, they're still planning things, so that's still a good thing for us. And to wrap up the video, Gavin, it's the guy on the extreme left on this image, which is the guy that you mostly seen in any Bandai video presenting the game, actually asked the producer, which is in the middle, and Kelly, which is the event planner in which she's at the right of the screen. He asked what word for them would best describe the One Piece card game, and so Gavin actually said that since he was a streamcaster, his word to define the game was dream, because when he went to event and he saw people getting the prize that they fought for in the tournament, it was like their dream was coming true. And so that was very touching for him and very awesome. Kelly said that her word is treasure, because she treasures all the moments that you spent at events, because she's the event planner. Of course she's gonna treasure the moment, and she wants to create events where people can have fun and enjoy themselves. And the producer's word was actually bond, because while playing the card game, it's such a great way to bond with every player all around and just basically have good funds with everybody. So now let's detail a bit that video, because I give you some of my observation up until now, and I want to bring up like some comment that I saw on that video, to which I also answered. And the comment that I want to talk about is the one from the VV Theory, which is at VV Ulfric. He's a theory crafter for the One Piece card game. Awesome guy, awesome channel. You should check his channel out. Really is a very great guy. And Actually, I kind of feel like him. I was pretty disappointed by the update, but he specifically that this Q&A, the Q&A sections, all those questions, he don't know what they are where they are coming from, because that's definitely not what he wanted to hear. He wanted to hear some specific things, and I personally wanted to hear some other things. Like, for instance, his question would have been like, when will we be caught up with the East? I don't think this is something that's gonna happen, because they're gonna have to move the anniversary, and they're not even doing this for Dragon Ball. So I'm not really sure that that question will ever get an answer, or maybe the answer is going to be never. It would be a great thing, because we would be able to have fresh information worldwide. But the second question that he asked is actually more interesting, because it's, when will we get an OPTCG online client that has ranked later? That's a very cool concept, because then it means we could play virtually on the game and kind of rank ourselves on an official client, and this is sure to do a lot for competitive players and even for casual players that just want to enjoy some competitiveness in the game without going to offline regionals and bigger tournaments. And there's a last question also that he made that is hidden with the Opera thing. I'm gonna move there. When will there be enough product for us to go to the store and buy cards from the store again that aren't overpriced? And that's actually a very good question, and one that I was hoping that they would address in the reprint section, yet they didn't. Because those are the questions that we as players, we are interested in. And they didn't really address any of that, because they were so focused on the event. Actually, what's planned next is actually partaking to the events and not really the product. The only product that they talked about was the Mera Mera no Mi Devil Fruit collection, and we already know this was coming. We already know about PRB01, but they didn't even mention that, like, yo, reprints are coming in PRB01. They didn't even say that. We already know about all this stuff. And so to me, there is one glaring mistake in this video, is that we really have no real new information about what's to come next. And this boiled down to one very simple reason. I even made this a comment on that video, because they're saying that they are reading comments on social media from everybody. So I want to see if this is true, and I want them to answer me if they can. The glaring mistake that Bandai is doing is not taking into account that we as global players, we already are aware of everything that's coming to the game through the Japanese news, because we are caught up on that. I'm even covering OP08 right now with the drip marketing. Talking about EB01 in your video for what's next to come is not the right choice. We already know about that set, we already know every card in that set, and we already know the meta of that set. So we don't need information on that. But since this was the English Bandai Next plan, it makes sense that it is what they would talk about in the video. So all I'm saying is, we are up to date ourselves, the global players, with the Japanese version of the game. So making an English Next plan is actually not a relevant thing to do. We already know about those. So I do join Ulfric on that point, that we need to be caught up with the East if they want to make such events and make it relevant. And again, I presented to you the entire video of what's next for the Bandai One Piece card game. And really, again, the only information that we had new on what's to come next is that the Devil Fruit Collection number 2 is gonna be the Mera Mera no Mi. But we knew the Devil Fruit Collection 2 was coming, and we knew the date at which it was coming. So there it is. Feel free to be disappointed, just like me, or maybe this still was hyping you up for the event, because that's the only thing really that they substantially talked about. That was the event portion. But for everything else, we got nothing new. We didn't even had like the Japanese information that they presented to you in the last video. And if you want to check those information out, because there are a ton more information in that than what they presented today, maybe you should check out this video next.